So, a very good morning. So, now I would like to introduce a concept of life cycle phases in software project management. Coming to the introductory part, so before going to the concept, I would like to tell you that we need to have a very balanced case of thing between how to capture the things around and how to model to have a well established design. So, to get a very robustic product. So, in order to have that particular things, because we are involved in software project management, so we should have a balance among them. So, in order to maintain that, we should have a very well established process. So, to have a process, we need to have good planning, so to capture things and to model the requirements, not the old traditional way. So the new advancement visualized modeling techniques, even it may be good environmental tools, upgraded knowledge, everything is required in the basic things of collecting to establish a very well established architecture. So here, continuing from the baseline of part, we should also assess the things properly, what we are in a requirement stage, in which helps us in order to measure the risk factors, in order to increase the quality and progress. So coming to the final agenda, how a process is involved is, so we need to have a very good customer validation. It is the ultimate task what we can assess everything. So in such a way our process will help us in that manner. So what Royce claims is we should have a very good manufacturing process. It should be characterized by automated development tools. So many automated tools are available in the market. So to have a better choice, so to get a very well established scenarios to follow, and component based approaches, as if we know, like the device kits, tools, and very hands-on experience cases we should follow. So here he breaks the activities like engineering and production work. What happens in the engineering work is simply the out and out of the model. So completely what is involved in depth is the production work, what we do in order to get the best output of the model. So here we have life cycle, four life cycle phases: inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. Whereas engineering is concerned with inception and elaboration, production stage is involved in construction and transition. We'll go in detail further. So this is an slide with the iterative development process, like iteration model, modern approach of software development process. So here Walker Royce will compare the scenario of life cycle phases. The best showcase is the spiral model. He makes a quote like, why? Because the stage is over here, the initial idea, the architecture after the beta releases, and finally the products of the customer. These curves will reveal the exact scenario of work, what exactly is happening within the phase. So it helps in a spiral based of model. So next we'll go in depth. Coming to inception phase, the primary objectives, the main things is to have a critical use cases, that who are the actors, what are they supposed to do. So all these involve in order to get better architecture. The architecture should not reveal the design, but also it should speak about the solution. So all the things, if it is perfect, then we can have a very good estimate of cost. So then we can move on with the further and future enhancement works to estimate. It is not to eliminate, simply we can estimate the potential risks, whatever resources available. So essential activities will be the project scope development, architecture demonstration, and preparing a business case. So finally, we primer evaluation criteria. How can you evaluate this phase? How the stakeholders concurrence is meeting the expectations of the cost estimates of the management, because this phase involves right from the beginning starting to the end of the transition phase. So does we have an architectural prototype to the previous items, whatever we are referring, all such case of things will be done. So next, coming to elaboration phase, taking the perspectives of the inception phase, we move on to the elaboration phase. This phase will give a complete baseline, demonstrable part of the architecture, whatever initial phase we have. It gives the best and better vision what we can have. It recommends what kind of artifacts we have to involve in order to move on with the scenarios what we have. So essential activities is the detailed vision. Detailed vision is this. See here, the shared functional vision to drive the architectural and planning, whether they are in a same pace. So detailed process and infrastructure support. So the essential activities continued, like to building the best architecture. That architecture contains all these subsystems, packages, graphic components, and so on. So the evaluation criteria is done, whether it is solid, the vision is solid, yes or not. Is it stable? Whether the architecture is good, demonstrable, everything. So how the stakeholder are their vision can be matched with the recommended process. So in coming to the construction phase, whatever scenario we have done with inception and elaboration phase, this reveals so the complete development stage, like involving many language platforms, like languages, packages, tools, environmental tools to manage resources, to control the operations, to optimize the costs, like to select a better choice of licensed softwares where we have to create an environment to have a very good estimate of costs, to have a well and established teamwork to be done. So finally, usable products, better to you properly utilize the resources or usable products in the environment where we are working. So it is a parallel development. Why they called it as parallel development is, so making based on the architecture, and we need to have the development side. So the best architecture speaks the thing what exactly we need to do and what exactly we need to want. So it is called as a parallel development, very good attribute for construction phase. And primary objective is to develop a good process, to take an advantage of the process, versioning, reviews, assessment, everything we can do. So finally we need to have a better good of work without having rework and scrap, which troubles software management most. So coming to the next thing, actually we need to have like not to move on to the next thing, transition phase, better we need to have good validation phases, verification phases in the construction phase itself. It is a very preferable choice of things. So here primer evaluation is milestone. If the product is reliable or not, we have to justify, we have to make it stable. So such type of things will happen in construction phase. Coming to finally the transition phase, so the server side configurations on which we need to dump the complete development code, how to deploy, whether the environment, so what we have the configuration strategies, whether they match, to validate them properly. Before validating them in the construction phase itself, we need to have some beta alpha releases, so that it is not the case where we need to have more and more number of releases. We need to restrict number of releases because we need to have the balance of maintenance part. And one more thing coming to transition part is maintenance part. It should have good customer support, like it should be maintained after the product release. So these are the main things done in the transition phase, not only the deployment of code, the maintenance of the product, what we are going to give it into the market. So essential activities, synchronization and integration is a very good terms in order to evaluate transition phase. So installation conversation as if we can estimate. So finally, what would I like to tell you is this life cycle phases will make us feel to have a free flow of work. What kind of artifacts, what are the tasks we can do, and all, everything will be revealed, everything will be easily understandable with the help of these life cycle phases. Thank you.